Hello, this is Bob from Up Trail 71. I'm back for another adventure up in the Porcupine Mountains in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. For this hike, it'll be a little different. I'm hiking solo, and I'll be attempting to set a personal mark. My all-time personal record is 29 miles in one day, and if everything goes right, I should be getting around 33 miles today. So it's a fairly early morning start. First I had to stop at the visitor center, pick up my permit. Then I'm going to start hiking here very soon on trail. Go hopefully 33 miles. And there's a couple of cutoff points if I need to, because I know there's predicting some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon. And who knows what the trail conditions can be like. There are 4 or 5 stream crossings, so that can always add to the challenge a little. Of course, you hear the noise of traffic being at the trailhead right next to the main road. I got my permit attached to my pack, and I should be getting on a trail very soon. I'll take a quick look at this map. Starting at the Government Peak trailhead, hiking escarpment, Big Carp River Trail, past the Shining Cloud Falls where we stayed a few weeks ago, to Lake Superior, then Little Carp River Trail, Greenstone Falls, past Lily Pond, past Mirror Lake, Government Peak Trail, and then all the way to GP1, and then it's about 1.5 miles back to the parking lot for tomorrow. And this is where the loop begins. I'll be coming back on the Government Peak Trail. For now, I'll be taking the escarpment trail. And I'll be carrying 2 bottles of smart water, because of the next 9 miles there'll be no water sources till we get down to the Big Carp River. My base weight for my pack is just under 10.5 pounds, and the total pack weight is right around 17.5, so that's not too bad. And I'll be using my hammock tonight. Of course, I'll be looking forward to that later on. The sign is missing, but this was an old copper mining area. Of course, they mined a lot of iron ore out of this area also. And this is where all of my steeper climbs will take place. Most of it this morning. I'm starting to come up to some of the first views from up here. Getting a decent amount of elevation. Still got a long ways to go. Now I'm just starting to get the best views in this park. Of course, that first climb from the trailhead, it was a good little workout. That'll be our only real difficult climb until I get to Government Peak later on tonight, and that's right over there. Now coming up to this junction, if I take this path, it'll go back to a little highway. There's a small parking area. Government Peak Trail, 2 miles. So I've covered 2 miles so far. And Big Carp River Trail, 2.3. And then just off in the woods here, there's an old mining area. I've showed that in some videos in the past. But for now, I got to keep on the trail. Still got a long ways to go. Now looking back at some of the progress that I'm making so far. And right up on near the top of that hill, there's a very nice campsite. Probably one of the best in the entire park. Maybe that's escarpment number 1. I didn't want to film by that campsite. There's a couple camping there. Talked to them for about a minute. They seem very nice. Now the views will just keep getting better. The Lake of the Clouds. And way back in the distance I can see Lake Superior. Of course, I get to hike over those little mountains over there. Now I'm starting to find some patches of blueberries along the trail. Good little snack. Oh, I get some really nice views again. Of course, I'm high up on the cliff. How calm Lake of Clouds is. There's a little breeze up here, so it does feel good. Coming up to this junction. 4 miles is where I started at. Lake of Clouds overlook is 0.3 from here. Or it's just down this hill. You can go to Mirror Lake, 3.5 miles. Or Small Mountain, you can call it. But I gotta continue on the trail, make up some good time. Okay, I'll continue on the Big Carp River Trail. I'll actually be starting on Big Carp River Trail. Goes right in that direction. If you take a right here, take the Lake Superior Trail. About the same distance, but I'd highly recommend the Big Carp River Trail. A lot more to see, waterfalls. And it's a view from the lookout, Lake of Clouds. The bridge down there, that trail goes to Mirror Lake. It's Big Carp River. And then Lake Superior is in that direction. Now I'm coming up to campsite. It's right on the ridge, cliffs right here. And of course the view is awesome. You can see the nice small mountains on that side. Lake of the Clouds back over there. I'll stop here for a quick break. I'm going to RX bars. They're not too bad. And maybe some little Cheez-Its. And it's definitely warm out. Sure glad I brought extra water. 9 miles is a long ways in heat like this. It's 79 degrees right now, and it is humid. This is a really cool spot. And campsite BC2 is just off to the right in the woods. We camped there at least once. One of my favorite spots, top 5 for sure, in the Porcupine Mountains. Now we'll be going by BC3 soon, and then I'll be going downhill for a long ways. And this will be the end of hiking up on these cliffs. Be all downhill for next about 3 miles until we get to the Big Carp River. For a stream crossing and possible, I may have to filter some water. Now I've finished up that part of the woods hike, and I'm coming up to the stream crossing. So now I have to take my shoes off, cross it. That takes up a little time when you're on a challenge hike. Well, here we go. At least it's not too deep. It's only about maybe 10 inches deep. Cold. Feels good. It's so hot out today. At least humid. Well, it's time for another junction. This is where my decision times come in. Which way to go? Correction line trail to Mirror Lake, 3 miles. I could take that if I wanted to. Just make this a shorter trip. Still be a 20-mile loop. Or mouth of the river, 4 miles. Or I could go back to Lake of Clouds. Nah, I don't think I'll do that. Okay, this is where I am right now. So I could go back this way and then camp there tonight. And that sounds really good because it's humid. But I think I'm going to continue on right to Lake Superior. I could always cut across on this cross trail, save about 2.5 miles, which is possible, and I'd still get my record if I did that. Or I go all the way around the Little Carp River Trail. I'll have to wait and see. Alright, I will continue on trail. I'll make my decision later, but I'm heading to Lake Superior. I would need to filter some water soon. Haven't done any yet. This will be stream crossing number 2. I could cross it. Take my shoes off again. Otherwise, there's still one tree just down here a little ways. There used to be 2, but the high waters from the spring washed it out. Actually, before I cross the stream, I'm going to grab some dirty water right here. Filter it. Actually, maybe I'll just screw the Sawyer squeeze right to my bottle. I'll just drink it like that on the way. Well, here I go. A little bit of a balancing act going across this tree. The campsite right down here is where I stayed at my wife a few weeks ago, right next to Shining Cloud Falls. It's a very nice campsite. Rapids, slept really good at night. Now a little ways, stop and take a quick peek at the falls. That's the top part of Shining Cloud Falls. It's a little hard to see through the trees, but it gives you an idea. And then it goes down into different tiers. Then there'll be more waterfalls in that direction. And we'll take a look from the other side, from the lookout area. And this will be from the lookout area. It gives you a good idea how nice this little waterfall is. The different tiers. It continues on down the stream like that. Now this would be a perfect spot to take a break, but I still have at least 20 more miles to go. And this can be a long day, and I'll still be hiking into the night. And the hammock is going to feel real good. I am definitely looking forward to that. Oh, this is beautiful. Walking along the stream. You get so many little tiers of mini waterfalls like this. It goes on like, oh, it's at least half a mile like this. Now we're coming up this really cool sandbank. It's a long ways up here. It's a nice opening, and I feel a nice breeze. That feels really good. And look at the erosion right here. Look at my past videos. I'm sure you could walk right across this spot. Now there'll be a bridge coming up soon. We'll be crossing that and hiking along Lake Superior for about a mile and a half. And it's a return. Lake Superior Trail to the east and to the west. Of course, we'll be taking this hill right here down to it. This is where the bridge crossed at one time. And during some extreme high waters that got washed out. And they built a new one. Maybe 100 yards in this direction. And this will be the bridge to cross. One of the main reasons why I come up to Porcupine Mountains is to see my favorite lake, Lake Superior. And this lake is calm right now. It's cool at the mouth of this river. See how the waves change? You get the flow from the river coming in from this way, and they kind of meet together. I don't see any thunderstorms yet, but there's a chance of it. And it's cloudy, so it's at least it's a little cooler now. Of course, I'm by the lake. That feels nice. And we have here Little Carp River Trail, quarter mile. There's a nice campsite right there, number 14. One last look at Lake Superior before I head back inland. And we're coming with some more signs. I know if I take a right across that little bridge, and I think about 8 miles from there, the Presque Isle camping area. I think that's for campers that you pull in, or RV types. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it is. I was there years ago. Well, it looks like we'll follow the Little Carp River for a while, and I know I'll have to cross it twice, maybe 3 times. This will be Trader Falls. It's formed into a little Carp River. Take a quick look at it. That's a nice smaller waterfall. I'm sure in the high waters they'd be flowing really nice. You can tell by the tears. That's a nice spot on the little Carp River. And it's also a spot I get to do my little river crossing. I may not take my shoes off for this one. Try to skip it across. If it gets wet, oh well, whatever. There's still got at least a couple more after this. I decided to boil up some water. Make myself some strawberries and cream instant oatmeal. All I want is a small meal, something quick so I can get back on the trail. Drank some more water. It's still humid out. It actually causes slight stiffness in the legs. So you have to drink a lot of water. Wow, check out this awesome waterfall. It's like a water slide. I believe this is Trappers Falls. And then yet another stream crossing. I'm not sure if I'm going to remove my shoes or if I try it like last time and get lucky. I don't know. Could look up there further, but more than likely there's nothing. There, I use this alternate crossing. A couple of rocks right there set up, made it easy. The bank was a little high to get on, but my feet are dry. I'm still on the trail. Now check out this brand new beaver dam. I saw the beaver swimming in here somewhere. He went hiding. Okay, time for intersection. I just met up with a cross trail. And right there. So now we'll be going back up in a northern direction towards Mirror Lake. And Government Peak Trail. Still a long ways to go. It's getting darker out too. There. Mirror Lake is still 5.3 miles from here. So it's a good distance. And there's a sign for Greenstone Falls. It's a nice little waterfall. It's about maybe 7 feet high. Nice and wide. One of the nicer ones around here. But it's getting later now. So I keep on the trail and my legs are starting to get tired. Knees are fine. I'm not sure if that is right there. Is that possibly a bear den? It could be. But anyway, my legs are starting to get tired now. It was humid today, so it's taking its toll. I got at least 20 miles in now. Maybe a little bit more. It's very possible that I might just say heck with it and set up my hammock anywhere. I mean, if they figure, like Park always said, if they figure there's any possibility for a safety issue, you just go ahead and throw up a tent or hammock. But they rather see you camp in a regular campsite, one that you reserve. But we'll see. Maybe I'll make it down to GP1, which is still, it's got to be at least 10 miles from here. There, Little Carp River Road, 0.4 miles. South Boundary Road, 1.5. Then I have a sign over here at this intersection. So the Lily Pond is 2.6. So, for now I keep hiking. And I'll need my headlamp in not too long from now. Well, I have decided, since I still have quite a few miles to get to my campsite, I'm going to just set up my hammock. First area I find a good water source. Better off to play it safe and not take a chance. I found a good place to set up the hammock, and I'll see you in the morning. Good morning everyone. I am now back on the trail. It was a long day yesterday. It wasn't no record day. Ended up with maybe somewhere around 23 miles. It was humid though. The high got up to 82. Humidity did get to me after a while. Then when I did my record in Superior Hiking Trail, I think the high was maybe 70. That was perfect conditions. So next time I try this, I'll get a little better weather conditions. Trails were nice, and still, positive side, I'm hiking the best loop in the Porcupine Mountains. I'm coming up to some sign action here. Of course, this is a North Country trail I've been on, and I think I'll be taking a left here. There we go. Beaver Creek Trail, 1.3 miles. Got Lily Pond, and there's some campsites. Now I'll come up to Lily Pond. A couple of boats, canoe here. There's a cabin you can rent right over there. There's a beaver dam, and I camped next to what would be part of this stream last night up on that ridge. That was a nice spot. And one time they allowed dispersed camping here, then they made it all reservation only, unless it's emergency. Kind of like last night, I wasn't going to hike another 10 miles. We were getting dehydrated. And there's Lily Pond. I just love hiking in this old growth forest. It's never been cut. And I'm already come up to another sign. Summit Peak parking area, 1 mile. Summit Peak area. Well, the scenic is 1.5 miles. I've been there. I could do it, but I think I'll save that for another trip. When I come back to my wife, checking the map where we are. We're right there. So still got a little ways to go to the parking lot. I remember this spot. This is where I camped for my very first challenge hike ever. So I think this is LC2. And it was right next to the stream down here. That was a nice spot. I remember that thunderstorm that came through that time. This is about 6 or 7 years ago. It was crazy. And I was setting my hammock up in it. Still the worst storm I ever set a hammock up in, or tent. I've made it to Mirror Lake. Mirror Lake is the highest in elevation lake in the state of Michigan. It's a very popular spot. There's got to be at least maybe 7 or 8 campsites around the lake. And there's a couple of cabins. They have boats with them. I'm going to stop at this little stream and filter some water before you get on the trail. It's hard to see how the water sources be until I get to the waterfall on Government Peak Trail. Oh, this is something cool I just spotted. Got close. It's a snake skin. Yeah, you don't always find those. It's kind of neat. Should be getting closer to the Government Peak Trail. I got this beaver pond I'll be going past next. Now this is where I come up to this cool marshy area. A little stream coming through right here. It's a frog jump. This is a very long boardwalk. They put a lot of work into this. Of course, it's been a few years since they put it in. And it's definitely grown up. Now right here I can go to the Lake of Clouds. Of course, I'm taking a right on the Government Peak Trail. The Government Peak trailhead where my vehicle is. 5 miles will be at Trap Falls. That's the best scenic part of this trail. Otherwise I would have skipped it if I went to the escarpment back, but on a continuous loop, and it's 7.5 miles to the parking lot. Wow, check out that tree with the mushrooms growing on it. That's cool. I'm now making my climb up the top of Government Peak. And that's, I believe, 1,850 feet. I made it up to top of Government Peak. Right here's an old foundation from a cabin from years ago. I think I'll eat my lunch sitting on those steps. As far as views, you only get a few views because the leaves are all over the trees. I made up a quick lunch and now I'm going to get ready to go back on a trail. It should be all downhill from here, hopefully. I'm now passing by campsite GP3. It's a nice area. It's right next to this small little pond. It's actually a decent sized pond. Oh, I've been waiting a long time to see this sign. Let's see, we got 3.3 miles to the highway. That's not too bad. I'll now come up to the stream. They call it the Upper Carp River, I'm not sure. There's a nice little water flow up there. I'm gonna grab some dirty water and just filter it on the way. And this will be Trap Falls. The falls is kind of small right now because it's a dry time of year. But when the water level's high, this will make one of the most beautiful falls in the area. I just cooled off a little bit around here, threw a little water on my face. Feels good, but down my back. Because it's a little humid today, not as bad as yesterday. But I'm going to get back on a trail and most likely see you at the trailhead, about 2.5 miles from here. I'm back at the trailhead. This was still a fun 2-day, 34.5 mile hike around Porcupine Mountains. 34.5 miles for an overnight trip should be a record. Even though I didn't get my 1-day record I was trying for. 33 miles, well, 29.2 is my record, and it's going to stand for at least this year. But still, it was a fun trip, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Thanks for watching, Up Trail 71.